For decades, American agriculture was king in Asia. Walk into any supermarket in Tokyo, Seoul, Bangkok, or Manila, and you'd see shelves lined with American rice, milk, soybeans, and beef. The Made in USA label meant quality, safety, and reliability. American farmers built their export businesses around these loyal Asian customers, shipping millions of tons of food products across the Pacific Ocean every year. This relationship started after World War II when America helped rebuild Asia's food systems. American wheat fed Japan's growing cities. American soybeans became essential ingredients in Korean kitchens, and American beef represented prosperity and modern living. For generations, Asian families trusted American food to feed their children and grandparents. But in 2025, something fundamental is changing. Major supermarket chains across Asia are quietly removing American products from their shelves and replacing them with Canadian alternatives. This isn't happening with big announcements or political statements. Instead, it's a quiet revolution driven by practical concerns, quality, reliability, and customer satisfaction. The numbers are staggering. Billions of dollars that once flowed to American farms are now going to Canada instead. This shift affects not just farmers, but entire supply chains. Truck drivers, warehouse workers, food processors, and port workers are all feeling the impact. What started as individual decisions by store managers is becoming a continent-wide trend that threatens America's position as the world's food supplier. Here are 5 countries leading this dramatic change. 1. Japan, the bread that changed everything. Japan's relationship with American wheat goes back 75 years. After World War II, American wheat from Kansas, Texas, and North Dakota became the foundation of Japan's modern diet. Japanese bakers learned to make bread, noodles, and pastries using American flour. For decades, this partnership seemed unbreakable. What happened? AEON, Japan's largest retail chain with thousands of stores, made a shocking decision in May 2025. They stopped buying flour from their longtime American suppliers and switched to Canadian wheat. The reason? Japanese customers were complaining that their daily bread wasn't the same anymore. Shoppers noticed that loaves were flatter, the taste was off, and bread went stale much faster than before. Some customers reported that bread bought from American suppliers no longer met the quality they expected. In a country where attention to detail is everything, these complaints couldn't be ignored. Why they switched? The problems went deeper than just taste. American wheat shipments were consistently late, sometimes 5 to 7 days behind schedule. This happened because of problems at the port of Los Angeles, truck driver shortages, and delays in unloading cargo. Meanwhile, Canadian wheat shipments through Vancouver were typically only 1 to 2 days late and often got priority treatment. Canadian wheat also offered better consistency. The CWRS, Canadian Western Red Spring wheat that AEON chose has stable protein content above 13.5%, low moisture below 14.5%, and excellent baking properties. Each loaf rises evenly, stays elastic, and remains fresh for days without going bad. The impact. This wasn't just about one store chain. When AEON makes a move, the entire Japanese food industry pays attention. A single farmer in North Dakota lost a $200,000 export contract because he couldn't guarantee on-time delivery. Across Japan, Canadian products are now getting better shelf positions and more promotion. Market surveys show that Japanese consumers over 40 are increasingly satisfied with Canadian food products. The psychological impact is just as important as the economic one. When Japan, America's most loyal Asian food customer, starts choosing Canada, it sends a message to the entire region. 2. South Korea, the soybean revolution. Soybeans are essential to Korean cuisine. They're used to make tofu, soy milk, fermented soybean paste, and countless other foods that appear on Korean dinner tables every day. For years, American soybeans dominated this market, but a new law changed everything. What happened? In April 2025, South Korea introduced strict new regulations requiring all soybean products to be traceable and proven non-GMO, not genetically modified. This information had to be stored on a public blockchain platform that anyone could access. Lotte, one of South Korea's top 3 retail chains, was the first to fully switch to Canadian soybeans from Ontario. The change appeared quietly, just a small label on price tags reading soybeans, origin Canada, certified non-GMO. But for Korean consumers, who pay close attention to food labels, this was a significant signal. Why they switched? American soybean production has shifted dramatically toward GMO varieties in recent years. Data shows that non-GMO soybean production in the US dropped from over 1 million tons in 2022 to under 90,000 tons by 2024. Most American farms simply couldn't meet the new transparency requirements because they still used paper record-keeping systems. Canadian farms, particularly in Ontario, had prepared for this shift years in advance. They not only grew non-GMO soybeans but also partnered with certification agencies to update shipment data online daily. Every batch could be traced from the farm to the store shelf. Korean consumers were willing to pay for this transparency. Surveys showed that over 70% of shoppers would pay more for clearly labeled food, and 60% would reject products if they couldn't verify the source. 3. Philippines, rice, the ultimate staple. Rice is more than just food in the Philippines, it's culture, tradition, and survival. When SM Supermarket, the country's largest retail chain with nearly 500 stores, removed American rice from their shelves in June 2025, it marked the end of an era. What happened? For decades, long-grain rice from Arkansas and California filled Filipino supermarket shelves, but within weeks, these familiar bags disappeared, replaced by Canada Japonica, non-GMO'd labels. SM gave no official explanation, but the reasons became clear through industry analysis. American rice farms faced devastating challenges in 2025. Arkansas suffered from alternating floods and droughts that severely reduced yields. California's rice farmers dealt with soaring water costs and critical labor shortages. According to government data, over 2,500 tons of rice meant for the Philippines sat unshipped in the second quarter of 2025. The labor crisis was particularly severe. Many rice farms had long relied on undocumented workers, an uncomfortable truth but a widespread reality. When immigration enforcement increased by 17% in 2024, with farm inspections ramping up, the labor supply collapsed. Some Louisiana farmers, unable to hire harvesters, chose to burn their rice fields rather than let the crop rot. Why they switched? While American rice farming struggled, Canada took an innovative approach. Saskatchewan, traditionally too cold for rice cultivation, began developing short-season Japonica rice varieties in late 2024. Universities partnered with agricultural businesses to create rice strains that could thrive in Canada's climate. The Canadian government also offered subsidized shipping to ASEAN countries, making Canadian rice 10 to 12% cheaper than American rice when it reached Manila. But price wasn't the only factor. Canadian Japonica rice better matched Asian taste preferences, being rounder, softer, and subtly sweet compared to America's dry, long-grain varieties. 4. Singapore and Malaysia, premium beef goes north. American beef once symbolized quality and prosperity across Asia. A thick Texas steak was a luxury item, reserved for special occasions and representing the pinnacle of agricultural achievement. This reputation made the quiet switch at NTUC Fair, Singapore's largest supermarket chain, all the more significant. What happened? In June 2025, NTUC Fair removed Texas beef from its shelves in both Singapore and Malaysia, replacing it entirely with Alberta beef from Canada. There were no announcements, no flashy promotions, just a quiet acknowledgement that customer preferences had evolved. The decision wasn't driven by price, even though Canadian beef benefits from tariff exemptions under the CPTPP trade agreement while American beef faces a 15% import duty. Instead, NTUC emphasized quality standards and customer satisfaction as the primary factors. Why they switched? Alberta beef offered several advantages that American beef couldn't match. Canadian beef is certified hormone-free and RBST-free, with full traceability from farm to table. Most importantly for the Southeast Asian market, it carries halal certification, essential for Muslim consumers in both Singapore and Malaysia. American beef, despite Texas's reputation for quality cattle, lacks a comprehensive and consistent quality assurance system. As consumers demanded more transparency about their food, American beef could no longer rely on reputation alone. Canada invested heavily in marketing this transition. The Taste Alberta Food Expo series appeared in major shopping centres like Vivo City Singapore and Mid-Valley Kuala Lumpur, where consumers could sample Canadian beef prepared in local styles. The campaigns cleverly included QR codes for product traceability, something Singaporean consumers particularly valued. 5. Thailand, the morning milk revolution. Milk represents the start of each day for millions of Thai families. For years, powdered milk from Wisconsin filled entire aisles at Tops Market, Thailand's leading retail chain with over 400 stores. The rhythm was predictable: American milk containers with glossy packaging and detailed information, restocked regularly to meet steady demand. But in June 2025, that familiar routine changed. Canadian milk from Quebec quietly replaced American products on Top's market shelves, carrying labels reading lactose-free, RBST-free, hormone-free, and halal certified. What happened? The transition initially surprised many shoppers who had grown accustomed to American milk's taste, texture, and branding, but over time, the new Canadian products won favor through clear labeling, straightforward ingredients, and transparent certifications that gave consumers confidence they were making a healthy choice. Price played a significant role. Thanks to tariff exemptions under the CPTPP and more efficient logistics, Canadian milk cost 10 to 15% less than American milk, which faced higher transportation and handling costs. Why they switched? Thai consumer preferences were evolving rapidly. An internal Tops market survey from May 2025 revealed that 82% of consumers over 50 prioritized hormone-free and lactose-free products, while 74% were willing to pay more for RBST-free certification. When products carried halal certification, approval rates jumped to 91%. For older Thai consumers, milk isn't just a beverage, it's a daily ritual of self-care and family care. When such a fundamental product lacks clear information about its source and safety, it creates anxiety in kitchens across the country. Canadian producers had invested heavily in meeting these changing demands. Quebec developed advanced cold chain logistics, established research partnerships between universities and dairy technology companies, and perfected lactose-free formulas. They weren't just selling a product, they were offering a long-term promise of quality and safety. Canada's strategic advantages. Canada didn't accidentally capture these markets. They invested systematically in areas where America was falling behind. Technology integration ***. Canadian farms use blockchain for traceability, AI for quality inspection, and digital systems for record keeping. Quality standards, consistent investment in hormone-free, non-GMO, and organic production methods. Trade relationships, strategic use of trade agreements like CPTPP to gain tariff advantages. Marketing, coordinated campaigns highlighting Canadian food safety and quality standards. Supply chain, more efficient logistics and closer cooperation between government and industry. The quiet revolution happening in Asian supermarkets today represents both a warning and an opportunity. American agriculture built its global reputation through innovation, quality, and reliability. Reclaiming that position requires acknowledging that the world has changed and that reputation alone is no longer sufficient.